Okay, so now let's move on to next topics. Okay, so our next topic in Django projects is Django apps. Okay, so Django project are composed of multiple apps. Okay, so yesterday I have already said that in Django we divide each section of codes into different apps. Okay, for example, if you take an application like Instagram, okay, so in Instagram we'll have different types of features, right? So, for example, to handle login, logout, registration, so you will separate all that code into some separate app like authentication. Okay, and in Instagram you will post your photos and videos, right? So to handle that, you will separate all that posting code, posting, liking, commenting, all that code into some separate app like uh, blog. Okay, and in settings, okay, in Instagram you will have some settings, right? So like privacy settings, profile settings, right? All those will be separated into profile setting, profile data. Okay, like that we can separate our a single large application into some multiple small applications using Django apps. Okay, so the advantage of these apps is these apps can be reused in different projects. For example, if you make the authentication app for one particular project, you can copy that app and you can paste in other projects as well, so that you can reuse that same app without defining from scratch. Okay, so like this you can separate your single project into different subsections so that it will be easy to manage and you can reuse the code in different projects as well. Okay. So these are called as Django apps. So let us create that Django app. Okay. Let us see the structure of the Django apps. So here we have already created our project, right? So to create our Django app, first we have to stop the server. Okay. Currently, the server is running. Okay. So to stop the server, you have to press on this terminal and click Control C. Okay. So Control C will stop the server. Okay. So now if you try to access your website, you'll get page not found error. Okay, because currently server is not running. Okay, so you can access your website only when server is running. So currently I have stopped the server so that I can create apps. Okay, so to create Django apps, the command is python manage.py space start app space your app name. Okay, here I am giving my app name as my app. Okay, and press enter. Okay, so here you can see that a folder is being created with name my app. Okay, so in this my app there will be some other files automatically created like migrations, init.py, admin.py, apps.py, models.py, tests.py, views.py. So we'll see what these files are. Okay, so like this you can create your Django apps by using this command. Okay, let me create one more app. So the command is python space manage.py space start app space your app name like blog. Okay, you can see that another folder is created with name blog. Okay, so like this you can create different apps in your application. These apps are nothing but you are separating your entire application code into different sections. Okay, so this blog section will handle the blogging. Blogging in the sense posting your posts, okay, deleting, updating, editing, all those will be handled in this blog app. Okay, this my app will hold some different sections. Okay, so like this, you can separate your code into different apps. Okay, and you can reuse this code by copying this folder and pasting in another project. Okay, okay, let us see what these files are actually. Okay, so Django app structure. So in the first file we see is init file. We have already discussed what init file is. So when we are creating project, so in settings folder we are already seeing init file. So init file is empty file that tells Python directory, Python, this directory should be considered as a package. Okay, so as we have already discussed that what package is nothing but collection of modules. Okay, so module is nothing but a Python file which is containing a Python code. Okay, so to say Python that this folder should be considered as a package. So what is the advantage of package is because we can import these files into other apps or other folders. Okay, so for that purpose we have to make this folder into a package. Okay, by simply giving this empty init file. Okay, so it will be automatically created. You don't have to do any coding in that. You'll just you create that an app using that command. So this init file will be automatically created. Next file is admin.py. Okay, so as I already said that Django comes with an admin interface. Okay, so admin interface in the sense we can control our data in admin level. Okay, so whatever the database data we are holding in our project, so we can control that data in that admin level. So for that admin level, we have an admin.py file. So in this, we can register what table should be displayed in the admin panel. Okay, so that can be done in this admin.py file. Okay, so using this, you can register, you can add what are the database tables that should be displayed to the admin panel. Okay, so this admin.py file will be created for each app so that that app particular tables can be added to the admin panel. Okay, next one is apps.py file. So in this file, you don't have to disturb this. It will have some app configuration. Okay, so this file, you don't have to do any coding in this file. Next one is models.py. Okay, so in this models.py, we define the actual database tables. Okay, so we have seen how to create tables in SQL, right? And we also created tables using Python as well. So in this Django, we will create tables using classes. Okay, we have discussed about Python classes, right? So in this in Django context, tables are called as models. Okay, so in Django, tables, database tables are called as models. Okay, so we create those models in this models.py file. Okay, next file is test.py. Okay, so in test.py file, we'll write the test cases. Okay, if you want to test your app, you can write your test cases in this test.py file. Okay, and next file views.py. So in views.py, we will define the view functions of your application. Okay, we have already discussed what views are. Okay, so views are nothing but it will take a request from the user and it will process that request and will respond to the user. Okay, so those requests, this will be the actual business logic that we will build. Okay, where to handle a website URL request, we will write that logic in this views.py file. Okay, and next migrations. Okay, so migrations will have a track of your database changes. Okay, so whenever you are updating your database structure, so all those structure changes will have a record in this migrations folder. Okay, so if you want, you can roll back to the previous version of your database if you are not satisfied with the current version of your database. Okay, so this migration folder will hold only structure of your data. It will not hold the database data. Okay. For example, if you created a table with the column names like ID, name, and email. Okay. But later you don't want email, then you can remove that email. Okay. So all those changes, structure changes will be recorded in this migration folder. Okay. It will not record the data changes. Okay. So these are the all the files that will be created when you are creating a Django app. don't worry. After once you get used to this, it will be easy. For initially, it will be very overwhelming to know all these. Okay, but don't worry. After, with some practice, you will get used to these files. Okay, so these are the files that will be automatically created when you are creating a Django app. Okay, so next, what is views.py in Django? So I have already said that use file in Django contains view functions or class-based views that handle the logic for processing user requests and returning responses. Okay, so a view function is a Python function that takes a web request and returns a web response. So view functions can return various types of responses such as HTML content, JSON data, redirects, and 404 errors. Okay, so I will explain what actually view function is again, so that you will easily understand the flow of programming. Okay, so first you have to understand what URLs are. Okay, so as I said, URL is a masked name for your server IP address. Okay, wherever you are hosting your website, so that website will have some server IP address, like just like we accessing our website like with this IP address, right? This IP address is common local IP address, but for each server there will be an unique IP address. Okay, like 101 dot 128 dot 636 dot 46 dot some port number. Okay, so this will be the actual server IP address. Okay, for your website, but it will be it is difficult to remember the all this IP address. That's why. So for users convenience, a URL domain is getting masked for this IP address. So for example, I have some www.example.com. Okay, so this will be your masked URL for this IP address. Okay, so instead of searching this IP address, so you can search your website using this URL. Okay, for user convenience. These URLs can be easily remembered. Okay, compared to this IP address, right? So that's why this URLs got into the picture. Okay, so whenever you are requesting a particular URL from a device which have some internet access, okay, so that request will be sent to the DNS. So this DNS will map your URL to the respective server IP address. So that will be sent to the server. So in server, we will have the, for example, if you are dealing with Django in server, okay, so in Django we'll have use.py file. Okay, so in use.py file, we'll have the functions or classes to handle the requested data. So here I am requesting www.example.com. Okay, so for to handle this web request URL, I will have a function. Okay, to handle this default home page. So I will have a function to handle this request. So first I will read what I am requesting. Okay, so based on the request, I will handle the request. Okay, so if I want any backend database data, so I will ask database. Okay, and I will get the data into my function, and then I will return the response. Okay, so the response will be the UI data of this example.com. Okay, so which includes the HTML file or just data of this page. Okay, and if this page requires any data, so from backend database, So that data will also be sent as parameter. Okay. So here for each URL, I will have a function so that will accept, that will read the request and processes the request and give response. Okay. So for that purpose, we use views. Okay. So which means here this function is handling www.example.com. Okay. For example, I have example.com slash contact. Okay. So this contact is additional to this domain, right? So this contact will be handled by another function. Okay. So I am requesting www.example.com contact to get contact details of that particular page, right? So those contact details will, this domain will be handled by another function, another view. So these functions are called as views. Okay, so in Django terminology, so these functions are called as a view for each URL. Okay, so for each subdomain, you will have a different function to handle the request. Okay, for example, .com about will handle some different function. Okay, so like this, we will handle the different requests of each function in this views. So what the purpose of this views is, it will read the request, it will process that request, and it will give the response. Okay, that response will be the website that should be displayed for this URL and the data that should be displayed for this URL. Okay, so this is the actual process that runs behind your websites. For example, here I'm opening a website like Flipkart. Okay, so this is the actual domain, right? So this domain will show the actual home page. Okay, whatever the home page that is available, that will be displayed for this domain. Okay, now if I click on something like grocery, so you can see that here domain is changing to some grocery store, right? So for this grocery store, there will be some different uh, view function. So that view function will read this request and will send this URL page, sorry, this data and the products it is displaying in this page. Okay. So if you click on something else, like if you are clicking on login, okay. So here I can see that the domain is changed to flipkart.com/account/login. Okay. So if you are clicking on register, create an account. Okay, so here you can see that account slash login slash sign up equal to true. Okay, so like this for each domain, so there will be a separate function that will handle that request and it will change the your UI. Okay, so user interface will be changed for each request by these views. Okay, so that is the purpose of views. Okay, so let us create some views, then we'll understand. So before that, we have to understand one more topic, that is URL routing. Okay, so that returning content can be HTML content, JSON data, redirect in the sense. So changing from one URL to another URL. Okay, and 404 errors. Okay, 404 errors in the sense page not found errors or any request errors will be sent as a response. Okay, next one is introduction to URL routing. Okay, so URL routing in Django maps URLs to views. Okay, so just now we have discussed about views, right? So and we also said that so for each URL there will be a separate view function to handle, right? So in URL routing we'll map the actual. So for what URL, so function should be what function should handle this request. Okay, so we will do that mapping in URL routing. Okay, so in URLs.py we will do that mapping. So there will be two types of URLs files. So one will be in project file. So whenever we are creating a project, a subfolder will be created, right? So in that subfolder, we have already seen a urls.py file, right? So in this urls.py file, we will do the URL mapping of our apps. Okay. So in this, we will give a subdomain for our app, and with that URL domain URL will be mapped, that app, particular app URLs will be mapped to that subdomain. Okay, so here I can see in this example. So by default, the URLs of admin site are already will be mapped in this. So in additionally, I have created my app, right? So to map my app URLs to our website, so we can do that by giving a subdomain as myapp slash and include myapp.urls. Okay, so like this we can map our app URLs to our server using this URL routing technique. Okay, so this URLs file is in project folder. Okay, and next there will be another URLs file which is in app folder. Okay, so this app folder URLs are the actual subpath. Okay, so like contact, about, okay, all those subpaths will be added in this URLs file. Okay, so this will be a overwhelming topic in initial days. So until you practice, so you will confuse with both URL files, but I will try to explain in detail so that you don't have to confuse while creating these URLs. Okay, so these are the URLs. So before creating this app URLs, more about URLs. So if you see your project structure, so this is our project, right? So in this project, so in this my project folder, I'll have the all the project configuration settings, right? Like settings file, ASCII file, URLs file, DST file. So in this we have this URL file, URLs.py file, right? So in this URLs.py file, we will do the actual app. We'll map here app URLs. Okay. So app URLs with some subdomain. Okay. So let us see that. So we have here my app.py, right? So first, after creating apps, so what we have to do is open settings.py file. So in settings.py file, you'll have this installed apps, right? So in this installed apps, we have to add the apps that we have created in our project. Okay. So the first app I have created is my app, right? So I should add that in this installed apps, and next I have to add this another app which is blog. Okay, so this should be your first step after creating new apps in your project. Okay, so whatever the apps you are creating, so those apps should be linked to your installed apps. Okay, and then so I have to map the URLs. Okay, so to map URLs, so I have to create manually a URLs file in each app. Okay, so here, so in my app folder, create urls.py file. Okay, so in this urls data .py file, I have to create urls URL patterns equal to empty list. Okay, so with the same parameter you have to create, okay, URL patterns equal to empty list. Okay, the same way let us create one more URLs file in this blog app as well. So for each app you have to create this urls.py file, urls.py and URL patterns or patterns equal to empty list. Okay, so we have created urls.py file for each app. Okay, so this your project URLs will be automatically created with some this code. Okay, but for each app you have to create manually urls.py file. Okay, so to link these URLs to our project, you have to go to this project for project settings folder. In this you will have the urls.py file. So in this, so here you have that from django.urls import path, right? So additionally you have to import comma include. Okay, so you have to import include. So here admin paths are already set. Okay, so if you search, for example, I'm running our project. Okay, so if we run our project, so this is the default URL homepage for your homepage for our website. So if I search for /admin, so I will get, okay, for this I have to create accounts. Okay, so if I search for this admin, I will get the admin panel. Okay, so like this for each URL. So admin URLs are already mapped to our project, so we don't have to worry about admin system. So additionally, we have created our apps, right? So here we should add our apps URLs. Okay, to add app URLs, path parenthesis the sub path for your app. Okay, for my app, I am giving empty subpath, which means so those paths will be at your default URL. So I will explain this detailedly. Don't worry about this. So include. So here we imported include, right? So in this include, I have to pass app name, my app dot URLs. Okay, and to add our blog URLs. Okay, so I'm giving blog slash, okay, include blog dot URLs. Okay, so like this you can add URLs of each app. Okay, so here we are giving a subpath. So here I have given empty subpath because so this app URL should run at default address. So default address in the sense this is the, for example, if I load example.com, so some page should be displayed, right? So here by default we are getting this Django page, but we have to configure this page into our own page, right? So this is a Django successful message page, but for our website, we should have a different home page, right? To do that, so I should use default. So default in the sense additionally, there will be no extra domain. Okay. So for that purpose, I have given this default. Okay. For blog URLs, I have given some subdomain like blog. Okay, so which means whatever the URL I am accessing in this blog app, so it will commonly it will have this blog as subdomain. Okay, so I will explain that. So about these subdomains. So this is our actual website, right? So in this actual website, and in this example.com, I will access blog. Okay, so here I have two apps. One is my app, and the second one is blog. Okay, so this blog will have operations like post data, okay, update data, update a post, okay, delete a post, okay, read a post, okay. So whatever the post we are blogging, so those posts will be, so we can post, update, delete, read, okay. So this is my blog app, okay, and this is my app. So this in this my app, I will display just one home page, okay. So home page that should be displayed while I call this IP address, okay. So to do that, so I will map this my app to the urls.py file in my project folder with empty path. So empty path in the sense, so this will be my actual path so that I don't want any additional subpaths. Okay, so whenever I call example.com, so I should get this home page. Okay, so for that purpose, I have mapped here empty. Okay, but if I want to blog, so I want to access this blog page. Okay, so in this blog page there will be some different actions. Okay, so but for all these different actions, this will be the common subpath for all the requests. So which means, so if I want to post a post, so the request will be like example.com blog post. Okay, so if I want to do update of a post, so the request will be like example.com blog update. So whatever the data I'm updating, that ID. Okay, so if you see that for all the requests, so here blog will be common. So which means for all the URLs in this blog, so the common URL is blog. Okay, so if I want to delete a post, the URL will be example.com blog delete and that particular post ID. Okay, which can be 123 whatever. Okay, and if I want to read a post, so the URL will be example.com blog read like this. Okay, so if you see here, for all the URLs in this blog, the common subpath is this blog, right? So for all the URLs in this example for this my app, so there is no common subpath. Okay, so here we are using just homepage. So homepage will be mapped for this address. If I have another pages like about.com, about page, okay, about in the sense, so about this website and contact page. Okay, so for these, the mapping will be like for example.com, I will get the homepage. Okay, for example.com slash about, I will get the about page. Okay, for example.com slash contact, I will get the contact page. So here there is no common subpath because here I have not given any common subpath. Okay, so this common subpath is for all the URLs in your app. So this will be the common subpath. For example, I have created another app like account. Okay, so for this account, the URLs, the actions will be like login, register, okay, and logout. Okay, so the URLs will be example.com. So here the common subpath is for all the URLs in account is account. Okay, account. So for login, the URL will be account slash login. Okay, for register, the URL will be account slash register slash. Okay, for the logout, example.com account slash logout. Okay, so like this, you will give a common subpath for all the URLs in your app. Okay, for home page, you will not give any common subpath because all your URLs in your home page will be displayed with your website itself. Okay, so like this, you can divide your app URLs and map those app URLs in this URL settings. Okay, so now let us create our actual views. Okay, so let us replace this page with our own text. To do that, what we have to do is first we have to go to our my blog app, my app. Okay, so in my app, I should go to views.py file. Okay, so in this views.py file, I have to create a view. Okay, view is nothing but a Python function. Okay, so that view will be, for example, I'm creating def homepage. Okay, so this will accept a request. Okay, so and return. Okay, so for that I have to import one more module called as from django.http import http response. Okay, so I have to import this, and in this pass this http response and give some text like homepage. Okay, so here I have created my first view. Okay, so this first view is, so it will accept your default address. Okay, so it will read that request. So I am requesting for homepage. So in this homepage, I am processing this request and sending response as just homepage. Okay, so the text home I am sending responses just text homepage. Okay, so now let us map this view to a particular URL. Okay, let us go to our URLs page in your app. So in this, you have to import from Django dot URLs import path. Okay, and we have to import this view function into this urls.py file. Okay, so to import that, you have to import from dot views. Okay, so from dot views in the sense, so in same folder there is views file. So from that views dot to indicate that in the same folder in the sense. So this URLs and this views file is in the same folder, right? My app. So for that purpose, we use dot views from dot views import homepage. Okay, so I have imported this function into this urls.py file. Okay, so now to map a URL to this home page, what I have to do is path and the URL, so which is empty in the sense. So it should display in the our main address. Okay, so here main address empty and view function. So we have imported the view function, right? We have to map that view function and we should give a unique name for this view function, view path, so which is home page. Okay, so I will say later for what is the use of this name. For now, you have to give a unique name for each view. So now I have successfully created my first view and linked that view to this particular URL. So which is empty path in the sense. So this should be displayed in the our actual landing page. Okay, whenever I request this page, so I should get that view. So now if I refresh this page, so here you can see that I got home page. Okay, so here you see, here you can see that I got home page because so this default address is got replaced with this view function. Okay, so whatever the text I change here, so that text will be displayed on that page. Hello world. Okay, save, go and refresh. Okay, so it will change it to hello world. Okay, so like this I can send data. Okay, now I will create one more URL, about page. Okay, so about page, request, return, HTTP response, and I'm giving output as about page. Okay, so to map this view to a particular URL, I have to go to this urls.py and I have to import this about page. Okay, and I should assign a URL to that about page. So for previously we have assigned default empty URL because so it should be displayed our home page. But so for about page there should be a different URL. So which is about slash. Okay, comma about page, and you should give an unique name. So unique name is nothing but about page. Okay, so save. Okay, and now go to your browser and search for slash about slash. Okay, so in this URL you will get this about page. Okay, so like this you can map a number of views to particular URLs. Okay, let us create one more view, def contact page, request, return, HTTP response, contact page. Okay, so now you have to give a particular URL for this view. To give a URL, you have to go to urls.py file and you have to import that contact page view into this file, and then you have to give a particular path. So here I'm giving contact slash contact page and name also contact page. Okay, so for all the URLs there should be unique name. Unique name in the sense, so this name should not be repeated for another page. Okay, So now I'm going to this page and I'm changing this about to contact. Okay. So here you can see that I got contact page. Okay. So like this, I can access all the three pages. I have created three pages. First one is default page, which is getting hello world. And the second page is about page. Okay. So in this, I'm getting about page. And the third one is contact page. So here I'm getting contact page. Okay. So let us create URLs for apps in this blog as well. So in blog, we have to go to views.py. So here let us create page. Okay. So request return. So you have to import that HTTP response from Django.http import HTTP response. Okay. Space HTTP response. Send blog create page. Okay. So to give a particular view for this, you have to go to the urls.py. So in this, you have to import path from Django dot Django.urls. Import path. Okay, and you have to import this particular view into this URLs file. For that, from dot views import create page. Okay, so here you have to give path for this create page. So the path will be create slash create page name create page. Okay, so can anyone guess the what will be the path to access this create page? So what will be the path here to access that create page? Anybody? Okay, so the path will be blog slash create slash. Okay, so you'll get create page. So that is because so in our settings URLs, okay, in my project dot URLs file, so I have given a subpath. Okay, so these also should be unique for each app. Okay, so for blog apps, I have given a subpath as blog. Okay, so for whatever the URL I am accessing in this blog app, so in commonly this blog should be added. Okay, so here in this my app, I have given nothing because so I don't want any separate subpath. I want to access them on the main path. Okay, so here in blog app, whatever the URLs I'm accessing from the blog app, so it should have some common subpath as blog. Okay, so now let us create few more views. So in blog app, I am creating one more view, create page, def read page, request, return, HTTP response, blog, read page. Okay, so let us map that read page. So I'm giving path as read. Okay, so after saving, so to add this read, to access this read page, here I have to change this create to read. Okay, so I will get read page. Okay, so like this, you can access different types of URLs from a particular app. Okay, so previously we have not given any common subpath. So for that, we are getting so these URLs like about we are getting about page. So but to access URLs from blog app, so you have to give common blog and then you have to give access create. Okay, so like this, you can access different URLs. So there are dynamic URLs as well. So dynamic URLs is like, for example, here. Okay. So in blog app, let me create a dictionary as posts. Okay. So in this posts, I will have dictionary of posts for characters. Like for with the key one, I have post. Before understanding this, okay, we'll discuss about that tomorrow. So before that, so here I'm just sending plain text, right? So this is just plain text. But if you want to send HTML data, you can send that as well. So that can be sent like, so in my app. So this is hello world, right? So in this I can send HTML data as h1 as h1. Okay, so which is the heading text for HTML data. So which will give some bold text. Okay. So now if you try to access your home page, so you'll get bold text. Okay, because I have applied some HTML to this text. Okay, so like this you can send. So if you now if you access about page, so you got this about page like this. But if you apply some HTML tags to this text, okay, about page. So if you apply some CSS like style equal to, okay, so you can do styling as well. So this is for starting purpose. In general, in actual applications, we don't do HTML like this, but I'm showing that you can send HTML and CSS code as well in this HTTP response. Okay, like this you can modify for HTTP response. So these are static content. Okay, so the content will be fixed. Okay, so there will be how many whatever the how many times you request it, you will get the same data. Okay, so these are called as static URLs. Okay, there is a concept called dynamic URLs. So dynamic URL in the sense, so there will be some same page will serve different type of data. Okay, so there will be some difference based on your request. Okay, for example, so here I am taking a page called as greet page. Okay, so greet page. So it will return HTTP response, and in this HTTP response, okay, for now, let's go to the style. Okay, so this text is like hello user. Okay, so this is the greeting. Okay, so this is the greeting. Let me link to a URL, greet page. Okay, so I have created a URL with greet page. So now if I access greet, okay, so I'm getting hello user, right? So here, instead of user, I want to get whatever the name I greet. Okay. For that, we will have a concept called as dynamic URLs. So dynamic URLs can be for that here with the request, I'm accepting a separate parameter called as user name. Okay. So I'm expecting a username. So using that username, so instead of this hello user, so I am displaying hello plus this username. So whatever the username I'm passing to this view function, so that will be displayed as output. Okay. So for that, so we have to change a small modification in our URLs to accept dynamic parameters. So we have to give angle brackets. So in this angle brackets, we have to mention the type of data we are expecting, that is string, and we have to mention the parameter, that additional parameter is required. So here we have given the additional parameter as username, right? So that additional parameter should be given as like this. Okay. So now, so we are accepting dynamic data. So now here with greet, I am sending as Akanksha. Okay. So previously it is just displaying hello user. Now if I request, I get hello Akanksha. Okay. So because here this Akanksha part is accepting dynamic data. Okay. Because so in this URL path, I have mentioned this in this angle brackets and with the type and the name that is expecting. Okay. So here I'm accepting that URL name and reading that URL name and adding that to this hello plus username and sending back as a response. Okay. So now if I change this Akanksha to Mohan, okay, so I'll get hello Mohan. Okay. So here if I change this to Rohit, I get hello Rohit. Okay. So I change this to Satya, I get hello Satya. Sitaram, hello Sitaram. Okay. So like this, so we can send dynamic data. So these are called as dynamic URLs. Okay. So these type of URLs are called as dynamic URLs. So if I want to request user ID with 422. So I will accept that user ID with 422 and read that data and I will send that data. So about that we will see tomorrow. So for today, practice creating apps, Django apps, and linking those apps to your project, and then linking URLs for your creating views and linking those views to particular URLs. Okay, so that will be your today's task. Okay, I will simply show the flow once more so that we don't have to confuse about
Creating
that.
the app like step by step.
Yeah, yeah. So step one will be create virtual environment for your project. Okay. Step two, activate. Step one is create project folder. Okay. Enter into for that project folder and create virtual environment and activate it. Step two, install Django, create Django project. Okay. Step three, create Django app. Okay. So add the tab to settings, installed apps. Okay. Step 4, create URLs .py file in app, map URLs file to project settings URLs.py file. Step 5, create views, map views to maps views to app URLs.py file. Okay. And check on browser after running the project. Okay, so these are the steps that you should follow to create apps and access them. So do these tasks. Tomorrow I will check a random person. Okay, so today do this task. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Any doubts from today's class?
So I just practice and I will ask.
Okay, fine. Okay, then that's it for today. So practice.